I catfished my neighbor just to expose her affair that she's having with my son, and I'm going to get to the bottom of this and absolutely ruin her life. Fellow people listening, I've made an unholy mess of things and could really use some outside perspective. This is probably going to be a long one, but I really need to get this out there. I'm a 40-year-old dad named Joey, living in a quiet suburban neighborhood with my wife and son Ethan, who's 22. A few months ago, I first noticed Ethan getting very friendly with our neighbor, Laura, whenever they ran into each other outside. See, Laura, she's 45, married, and has 3 kids of her own. You know, despite the large age gap, Laura is an attractive lady who looks amazing for 45. Ethan clearly noticed too, since I started seeing them chatting outside more and more. My nosy instincts kicked in, so I began paying very close attention to them. Can you blame me? Sure enough, I eventually realized that they were secretly hooking up with each other. My son! I guess Ethan's young libido could not resist the temptation of an experienced older woman. As for Laura, she's probably enjoying the thrill of a, well, younger person. Either way, I was absolutely livid and wanted to confront them right away. It's wrong. But instead of handling it directly like a mature adult, I decided to gather irrefutable evidence first before exposing the affair myself. So, in what I now see as a pathetically misguided lapse of judgment, I created a fake Facebook profile pretending to be a nice single guy named Tommy, who just moved to the neighborhood. I gradually sent Laura a friend request and started innocuously chatting her up when she accepted. Shockingly, Laura completely fell for my act and started reciprocating my flirtatious messages almost right away. I spent weeks earnestly listening to her problems and letting her vent, establishing myself as a sympathetic shoulder to cry upon. Before long, she was confiding in Tommy and divulging all these juicy details about the passionate love affair that she's having with my boy, Ethan. Can you believe this woman freely admitted to a total stranger online that she was cheating on her husband with their younger neighbor? Laura even went so far as to actually send me some of the, illicit photos and explicit text that she would exchange with my own son. The whole thing was so sickening, but I played the part and responded enthusiastically. I kept egging her on for more evidence, pretending to live vicariously through her taboo romance. Well, once I compiled an undeniably incriminating case, I anonymously packaged up the entire, envelope and mailed it directly to her unsuspecting husband, David. Then I just sat back, waited, and watched the inevitable carnage unfold from the comfort of my own living room. When David eventually received my unmarked manila envelope filled with his wife's graphic cheating confession, he completely exploded. I discreetly peered out my window as David stormed outside and confronted Laura right there in the front yard. He was screaming and yelling, hurling all these profane accusations at her about the affair. She screamed and cried, feebly trying to deny it at first but unable to explain away the evidence. David even kicked over his own barbecue grill, and those bad boys are expensive. I saw one on Amazon running for $1,200. And, he threw the patio furniture onto the yard and snapped the wooden chairs in half. He continued to berate Laura at the top of his lungs, calling her names that I cannot repeat here. She retreated inside while he grabbed an overnight bag and hopped into his Audi and burned rubber out of there. The curtains on our street were undoubtedly full of onlookers, but I maintained my ignorance. In the moment, I felt righteous and justified watching David erupt with fury. It was deeply satisfying just to see Laura's web of lies unravel in real time. I'd imagined the dramatic confrontation countless times while gathering my incriminating evidence, but as the dust settled, a creeping sense of dread began to come with it. I realized I'd irreversibly inserted myself into my neighbor's already strained marital problem, not to mention my own son's personal affair. I lit a bonfire underneath this affair without any real proof at all. Besides a bit of digital conversation, what right did I have to play judge, jury, and executioner is what I'm starting to wonder. Anyways, The ensuing fallout took some bizarre turns. It wasn't over yet. I never could have anticipated in my wildest dreams, but guess what? It turns out David and Ethan actually started bonding after the big blow-up over their shared anger and hurt. It's so weird. David realized Ethan had been manipulated too in this whole sordid affair, and in David's mind, Laura was truly the sole malicious actor who betrayed them both so cruelly. Understandably, his rage was aimed squarely at her. Remarkably, the two men soon hatched a plan to open up a small engine repair shop together, combining David's business experience with Ethan's mechanical skills. I was floored that they could become so close after nearly coming to blows. Just weeks prior, David was ready to wring Ethan's neck. Now suddenly they were best buddies starting a business venture together. It baffled me. Meanwhile, Laura was just coyly telling all the neighborhood ladies that she had a big announcement coming up soon. She carried on as if nothing happened, still frequenting her regular suburban mom hunts and chattering with cliquish glee. Well, then she casually dropped the bomb that she was newly pregnant. Given the timing, everybody automatically assumed David must be the father since he moved out months prior already. But when he caught wind of the pregnancy, David shockingly came over to sincerely thank me. He said that if I had not sent him that incriminating package, he might still be oblivious raising another guy's child as his own. As traumatic as the whole experience was, he felt I did him a favor by exposing Laura's affair before she could dupe him any further. I'd braced for this enduring hatred and instead received gratitude. In that moment, I thought maybe this would all work out after all. Of course, that optimistic illusion was quickly shattered. When the paternity test results came in, it was confirmed that Ethan was without a doubt the father of Laura's baby. David was utterly devastated and betrayed. The man he'd extended goodwill and friendship felt like a backstabbing scoundrel. On the spot, David bitterly ended their promising business partnership and completely severed all ties with Ethan. Ethan was understandably distraught. His lifelong ambition of opening a custom auto shop with David evaporated overnight. All their plans and hard work destroyed, just as if it was finally becoming reality. On top of that, he was having a baby with Laura, 100% his, who he probably assumed was just a fun casual fling up until that moment. The poor kid's entire world was upended in one fell swoop. Suddenly, Laura shifted gears and started openly claiming that she and Ethan were actually in love. According to her, Laura's message to David had been unhappy and loveless for years already. She insisted their affair, quote, just accelerated the inevitable ending. Laura really turned on the waterworks for sympathy too, guys. She began accusing David of years of coldness and verbal abuse behind closed doors, portraying herself as the victim. Laura claimed that she desperately sought comfort in Ethan's arms and fell deep in love along the way. People ate up her soap opera sob story, line, hook, sinker. She seized control of the narrative masterfully, and from there, opinions became sharply divided on who was truly at fault. Some saw Laura as a conniving scarlet woman who seduced Ethan and destroyed David, but others bought into the spin that David had driven her into Ethan's arms. People started gossiping and squabbling of it all across the normally subdued suburb. The saga ultimately led to the divorce being finalized. David understandably wanted a fresh start away from Laura and Ethan. He sold his house, relocated across town, cutting ties with basically everyone. In the wake of David's departure, Laura's reputation was left utterly destroyed. Former friends scorned and shunned her, but strangely she didn't seem bothered whatsoever by her new status as the neighboring pariah. In fact, she seemed to relish in the notoriety. Nearly every day, Laura gleefully posted the fresh baby bump selfie with a hashtag blessed, as if publicly documenting her adulterous pregnancy for everybody to see. Her brazen lack of shame was infuriating, but I bit my tongue and stayed mum. At that point, nothing productive would come from confronting her. Ethan, meanwhile, was clearly overwhelmed with the prospect of becoming a father, especially under such messy circumstances. He'd gone from carefree bachelor to expected parent overnight. But, to his immense credit, he courageously stepped up and committed himself to co-parenting with Laura in spite of everything. He easily could have bailed, but did not. As for me, I was left grappling with the magnitude of what I'd recklessly unleashed on our community. My thoughtless scheming led to divorce, grudges, estranged friendships, and who knows what legal troubles are ahead. Ethan wanted nothing to do with his backstabbing father, who ruined his business, and my blissfully unaware wife could not fathom why I was losing sleep over our neighborhood drama. Come on! I tormented myself internally for intervening at all. I kept reminding myself that Laura selfishly seduced my son while married with 3 kids of her own. She fully deserved to have her web of lies ripped wide open, right? I did the just thing by exposing, or so I told myself endlessly. But was it truly my place to play the, real proof editor besides online flirting? Should I have just stayed out of it entirely? Well, I would like to know what you guys think, but one thing is for certain, our tranquil suburban lives will not be the same again. Ultimately, I learned the hard way the full truth always surfaces eventually. I know I've been expressing my feelings by writing this all down, and I have read a lot of the comments, and I see everybody just blaming me as well, saying that I'm just blaming the neighbor only when my son is just as involved. And guys, I get it. And do you understand how horrible this makes me look? Oh, I'm the dad that can't control his 22-year-old son, and now the neighbor's having an affair. Anyways, guys, that's really all I need to do. I just wanted to express myself, vent myself, and just let everything out. Thank you even for the negative comments, because it does help to see a different perspective. What's up, everybody? So we just saw one heck of a family drama. So we don't really know what's going to happen with the court rulings or any fees or even what's going to happen with the baby, but if there's any updates, you guys will be the first to know about it. However, I did come across a couple comments, and these comments are going back and forth with each other. They don't agree with one another when it comes to how OP handled the situation. Here it is, the first comment from Cool Guy 1234. OP, I get why you felt like you had to expose the affair, but creating a fake profile and catfishing your neighbor was over the line. You should have directly confronted your son and her first, before making matters just go into your own hands. What did you think would happen after you blew up her marriage? Did you consider the consequences for the innocent kids? This whole scheme was manipulative and fundamentally immoral. I know you feel guilty now, as you should. My advice would be to apologize to everybody and just to learn from your mistakes. Stop playing with other people's lives. Comment number 2, replying to Cool Guy. This comes from Not My Problem 1979. Cool Guy, are you kidding me? The neighbor was a predatory adult cheating with his teenage son. I mean, he deserves to have her web of lies ripped apart. Just confronting them would have let her twisted the truth. OP was completely justified catfishing her to get concrete proof and protect his son. If she did not want her marriage ruined, she should not have slept with the neighbor. Her poor choices destroyed the family, not OP. She's an adulteress and a homewrecker. The only person who deserves an apology is OP's son for being manipulated. You're way off base here. Cool Guy, responding for the last comment, says, I hear what you're saying, but nothing justifies catfishing and deception. We don't know the full context. Maybe the neighbor was going through stuff in her marriage and made a mistake. You know, not thinking straight. Still, a bad choice, but destroying a family won't undo it. Now, there's multiple lives damaged, including innocent kids, and the son clearly wasn't some helpless victim if he went along with it. Everyone involved owns blame, but OP should have been the adult and talked to his son first. Playing secret agent made things infinitely worse. Next time, confront bad behavior directly instead of creating fake personas to manipulate people. Anyways, that's just my take. Alright guys, so the comment section looks like they're trying to justify what the neighbor was doing with the son. I want to know your opinion. Do you think that the neighbor could have possibly been having trouble with her marriage and it could have led to this affair? Or do you think, no, it's completely wrong? I am not on her side at all. Let's talk about it in the comment section down below. We just reviewed a few back and forth comments, so let's continue it going and see exactly what you guys think. My name's Mr. Reddito. This is Mr. Reddito's Revenge channel, where every single story has something to do with revenge. And if you guys want to be a part of these daily revenge stories, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and of course remember, it's cool to be kind. See ya.